This next lesson is on various kinds of drill bits. There are many kinds of drill bits out there, but these are some of the common ones that you might see. So let's start off with the most common, and that would be this first one. Now you have a handout if you're in my class that you need to fill out. The name of this bit is called a twist drill. Okay, the end of it is just beveled, and it's actually made from metal. So in the column named, where it says name, write in twist drill. And on the other side, it talks about description. So what you want to write there is that it is designed for metal. It comes in very small increments. You could typically get them in 1/64 of an inch increments. They also have numbered drills, and there's all kinds of twist drills you can get. But typically, like if you go to Home Depot and you're looking for a drill bit, these are very easy to find. They're called twist drills, and this particular length is called a jobber's length drill. It's a standard size. All right? Twist drill, again, used for metal, and since it will cut metal, it also cuts wood because wood is softer. Comes in nice shallow or small increments, 1/64 of an inch. When you buy a rack of them, they go up in very small increments, or you can get them that way. The next one is its close brother, but it's designed for woodworking. This is called a brad point drill. So next to this one, you would write down brad point drill. And it's called a brad point drill because, you guessed it, it has a small brad point right here at the front. And a good one will have two cutting lips on either side. You can see there's one here on this side and another one on this side. And as the bit turns around, those cutting lips dig into the wood. So let's take a piece of wood and take a look at this. Let's go back to our twist drill for a second. Wood has grain to it, unlike metal. Well, metal actually does have some grain, but basically not like wood does. So if I'm drilling, I gotta get this into the picture here. When I drill with a twist drill, it tears into the wood. It's hard to do with manually, but it splinters. Nothing is scoring the hole. With a brad point drill, let me get this in the camera here, you can see as the hole goes in, the brad point holds it steady in one spot. It's not a blunt point like a twist drill. And then those spurs on the edge meet the wood next. Let's see here, I'm trying to get it in the picture while I do it here. And they score a hole. Now if you're doing it with a drill, it's obviously going to work better. But you see how it's scoring the outside of the hole, cutting those wood fibers, so it gives you a clean edge on the hole. Then after those spurs on the end here cut that outer cut to cut through the fibers, the cutting edges here and here, oops, out of the picture again, right in between the brad point and the cutting spur, the cutting lips, take the wood and pull the wood out of the hole. So this is designed for wood. If you try to drill this into metal, you're going to ruin it. But it's designed for wood. Looks a lot like a twist drill. It's got flutes just like a twist drill does. Let's put the two of them next to each other and you can see. It's just that the tip is different. It's got that brad point there, which is, again, going to hold the bit steady. And then those spurs on the edge scribe a hole, and then the cutting lips cut and pull the wood out of the hole, giving you a nice clean hole in woodworking. They do not come in 1/64 of an inch increments, though. Usually 1/16 is about as close as you can get them. But they're similar to a twist drill, but it cuts a cleaner hole in wood because of the cutting spurs. So that's what you can write in the description. All right, similar to a twist drill, cuts a cleaner hole in wood because of the cutting spurs. So that is called a brad point drill. The next one is interesting. It's called a Forstner bit. Let's take a look at the Forstner bit. Now, the Forstner bit, probably designed or created by a guy named Forstner, who knows, but it drills a flat bottom hole. This one has serrated teeth on the edge. Sometimes they don't, often they do. All right, but the cutting edge on this is right here. There's one there and one on the other side. And it has a very small point on it as well, but not very big. If you look at it from the side, that point doesn't stick up very much. And the cutting edge goes straight across. It's not angled back like it is on a brad point drill. And that will drill a flat bottom hole like we've done here. You can see how this drill bit, you can easily drill part of the way through the board and not have anything show on the other side because it drills that flat bottom hole. Okay, so Forstner Bit sounds like forest, but it's Forstner, F-O-R-S-T-N-E-R, Forstner Bit. All right, and its key claim to fame is it drills a flat bottom hole, and it comes in very large sizes. Like this one, what's the size on this guy? This one is 1.5 inches, and they make them even bigger. Here's one that is 2 1/8. Look at the size of this guy. Real big, right? And they come even bigger than this. So Forstner bits come in very, very large sizes, okay, for drilling large holes with a flat bottom. Now the next one is an inexpensive kind of a bit called a spade bit. Some people call it a paddle bit, so you can put that under the name spade bit or paddle bit, because it looks like, reminds me of a spade shovel, like you were digging a hole, or a paddle. It's flat. Reasonably inexpensive, but does not cut a very nice clean hole. Sometimes you'll see some nicer ones that have an extra little point on either side. It cuts a little cleaner hole if it's got a little point sticking down here, kind of like the spur on a brad point drill. Does the same thing, but it's a flap spinning around, and it whacks a hole in the wood. All right, so it's called a spade bit. It's inexpensive, but used to make rough holes in wood. I usually use this in remodeling if I've got to punch a hole through a 2x4, especially if I'm concerned about hitting a nail. I would rather hit a nail with this bit than with a more expensive bit like a brad point drill and have to pay more to replace that. But spade bits are reasonably inexpensive, do not cut the best clean hole, but they're a lot less expensive than, let's say, a Forstner bit that has to, if you want to drill a larger sized hole. And these come in an assortment of sizes, usually 1/8 inch increments. All right. Now the next one, but these are two together here. These are called countersinks. And what are countersink used for? Well, if I have a hole and I'm going to put in a round head wood screw, like this. Here I have a rounded head wood screw, and I want to put it into a piece of wood. When I put the round head wood screw in there, it sits real nice because that's how it's designed to sit, right? But if I want to put in a flathead wood screw, here's a flathead wood screw. It's got that funnel shaped top. If I was to just drill a hole and put that in, you can see that it doesn't sit nice. It kind of sits up in the air. So you want to make a funnel shaped hole similar to what we've done over here, so that the bit will, the screw rather, will go in and sit flush with the wood and not stick out. Okay, this one I've actually gone a little bit extra on it, right? So that cuts that countersink. That's called a countersink hole, and with the countersink bit, and the drill bit will do that. Let's see if I can get it in the picture. Right, you can see first you would drill a regular hole, and then you'd use this to countersink into that hole. Here's two different styles here, right, to countersink that hole. All right, so that's called a countersink. Now there's two styles here that I want you to know. So under name, call it countersink, okay? And one is made for wood and one is made for metal. The one for metal has multiple cutting edges, and the one designed for wood has a single cutting edge on it and does a much better job in wood. Now, you can use the metal one to cut wood, but it tends to chatter more and doesn't make as clean a hole. These countersinks with a single flute, single cut, do a much nicer job in wood. And I would not use these in metal, of course, because it would probably ruin the bit. But the multi-flute ones are really designed for metal. These are designed for wood, but they both do the same thing. They make that funnel-shaped recess in the wood called a countersink for putting in flathead wood screws, right? This is called a countersink. So again, under description, put in used to set flathead wood screws flush with the surface of the wood, all right? Now, the last thing here is called a plug cutter. A plug cutter cuts wooden plugs when you want to cover over a nail hole. Now, sometimes when you drill a hole like a flathead wood screw, instead of countersinking it, you would counterbore it. A counterbore is like a hole, so the screw is down inside the hole, and now I want to put a plug over the hole to hide the screw. Well, this doesn't drill a hole, but it drills a counterbore. And it drills a plug to go in the counterbore. And they come in different sizes, all right? and this one is a 1/2 inch. I picked a bigger one just so you could see it easier. Here is another style of one. This one, the first one I showed you, has 2 flutes to it. This one's got 4 flutes on it. But it basically comes into the wood this way. All right. Let's see if I can let you see this. And it will drill and leave wood in the middle that you can then break or cut off and use as a plug. The nice thing is it leaves the wood horizontal the way it would normally be in the wood. This is another style of plug cutter. This is a giant one. These come in different sizes. These are for cutting real long, deep plugs, but it's basically the same thing. It drills a hole and leaves the wood in the middle as your plug. So this is called a plug cutter, used for creating wooden plugs. So let's go back and take a look at our assortment of things we have here. We'll review. The first one was a twist drill designed for metal. The second one is a brad point drill, has that brad point on it. This is designed for wood, very similar to a twist drill, but it has the brad point and the cutting spurs designed for cutting into wood and wood fibers. This is called a Forstner Bit for drilling flat bottom holes like we did here. Right? This is a spade bit, sometimes called a paddle bit. Inexpensive bit for cutting rough holes. These are countersinks. The one with multiple cutters is for metal. The one with a single cutter is for wood. It's for setting flathead wood screws flush with the surface. And then we have our different kinds of plug cutters for cutting wooden plugs to fill over screws when you have that situation. All right. These are the various kinds of wood bits. Obviously, there are many, many, many different other kinds of bits out there, but these are the ones you probably most likely see and are most common.